Well, now that I've opened up the box and have revealed the mysterious replacement power supply, it's time to open up the computer and dig into it and see if I can actually get this thing working. I want to believe that this is going to be just a quick, easy power supply replacement, but my instinct tells me, early 90s computer that's been sitting around for years and years and years and years and years unused. There's probably some additional damage lurking inside, so I'm gonna cut right to the chase and just dive right on in.
Tales of Weird Stuff presents Macintosh IIfx repairs.
I'm gonna start by opening this up, and there's some magic to this because there's these little buttons on the back that you push to open it, and then there's some. Is it you push them and then you pull back? What's the trick? I'm trying to remember because I opened it ages ago. There we go. And then it comes off. How does the front come off? I do not want to break or crack any of this very fragile old plastic. I know how it feels to be old and fragile. Alright, so this looks very super clean in here, and actually, looking at the power supply in here, this doesn't look very much dirtier than the ultra clean, pristine one that's brand new, and it looks like, looking at it, the only thing that holds in this power supply is maybe this one screw right here. All right. So what I want to do is initially, on my previous video where I unboxed the new power supply that will presumably be installed in here, there were a number of comments about these old computers and the power supplies, and one of the comments was that these old power supplies, now that is not a good sign. I see there's some bits of corrosion on here, and there's some rust on here. And on these pins, those are not good signs. That doesn't make me it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. But the comment was that inside this power supply, there may be, and this power supply actually looks very different inside than my memory of the other one. Wow, there is a huge clump of dust there. That's going to be yucky. There may be reefa caps in here. This computer seems a little bit late, at 1990 to have reefas in it, but perhaps. So it's definitely worth taking a little bit of time to open this up and take a look at the inside at least. And it looks like there's just these two screws holding this cover. Open it up, take a look inside, and make sure that there aren't any reefas, because I don't have the best ventilation down in this basement, and if reefa caps explode down here, I'll probably have to just sell the house. Because that smell will never get out, and I've definitely, I say that as a joke, but I've definitely heard of people doing that with cars when, something terrible happens. What is the trick to get this out? Do I need a flat blade screwdriver to pry that? Something terrible happens inside the car that creates an unpleasant aroma, and that aroma is just never going to be gone, and so you just have to give up and cut your losses and sell the car. And a friend of mine owns a shop in Beaverton that does auto detailing, and he definitely knows of people who have done that with cars, where it's just like, nope, you have fond memories of this car, and they are forever ruined by that smell. And it's best to just move on. There'll be other cars. This is being difficult here. Why does this not want to? There we go. All right, so that side is basically up. Now, when I'm trying to pry things with a flat blade screwdriver, I don't usually like pry and use it as a direct lever. What I like to do is twist, because I feel like the twisting, right? Because the twisting does manipulate the angle of the blade, that provides a little bit gentler pressure, and that particularly when, this last part is being really stubborn here, that it just provides a little bit more gentle pressure and seems less likely to damage something. How bad do I want to get this open? I really think I do, because I just want to take a look inside, but that is not. There we go. Okay. Woo! Look at that little piece of a bunny, and there's some other dust. A couple fuses in there, and the fuses both two fuses both look intact. More age-old dust. I don't see, unless this is a reefa cap, which I guess it could be, but it looks good. So I am going to conclude that this kind of power supply is probably, actually, is that a reefa? What's going on with this? So just looking at, oh wait, is this, looking at the side, that looks like some kind of this looks like a relay, so unlikely to explode. This is dirty. Now, the other thing that folks had suggested and discussed, which is different from disgust, which is different from this dust. Anyway, for any non-native English speakers, watching this, I sincerely apologize for that that nonsense. This is probably safe to turn on. The other issue that a couple people had mentioned in the comments on the previous video is that there are a bunch of Macintosh II systems of this general vintage that may or may not need a PRAM battery in order to power on. I've read a bunch of things on various forums and have seen a bunch of conflicting information. Some places say, no, the PRAM battery has to be good. Other places say, no, the PRAM battery doesn't matter at all. Other places say, well, actually, you just need to not have a dead PRAM battery installed. So I went to a local shop in town today, and I got a replacement half AA battery, PRAM battery for this computer. So I'm gonna try a variety of things. Some of the folks said that dead power supply might just be dead PRAM battery that needs something to happen. So this looks safe to power on. I'm going to do this. I'm an engineer. I'm going to do this step by step. I might take this out to my garage and use my air compressor to clear this out before I turn it on. But I think I'm going to bring the system back up and finish disassembling it, which I can actually do right now, which I have not ever done before. There's the PRAM battery down there. I'm going to disassemble this, and then I'm going to replace the PRAM battery. Well, first I'm going to just take the PRAM battery out. Put the old power supply back in. Take the PRAM battery out. I see a lot of yuckiness down here on this board. This may have other problems. Boo. Try it without any PRAM battery with the old power supply. Try it with the old power supply with a new PRAM battery. And then finally swap the power supplies with new PRAM battery, and then also new power supply without any PRAM. I'm just going to go through and try all the combinations. When you have conflicting information, performing the experiments yourself is the only way to really get to the solution. And I put on, how silly of me, I put on the bracelet part of the anti-static grounding strap, but I didn't put on the grounding strap part, so that's not entirely useful. All right, so I'm going to finish disassembling this quickly. Is that all 4 screws? Yes, and that one's just laying around. All right, so that's all 4 of those internal screws, those screws. And it looks like there is one more back here. Someone has definitely done something in this computer because this is not properly mounted. It has 1 screw on each side, so it does want to. This is the hard drive. Want to flop around a little bit. I need to. Is it going to be better to disconnect this from the drive? Okay. And here we go. Oh, that is. All right, well, that I did not anticipate that this this cheeky bastard has two batteries. So while I am off using the air compressor to clear out the that old power supply of dust bunnies, I will have to do a little bit more research about 2 PRAM batteries. And this looks generally clean over here. I mean, it's dusty. 68030, 40 megahertz. 68882, 40 megahertz. And it is fully populated out with RAM. And these are, if I'm reading the markings correctly, these are 4 megabyte SIMs. So 16 megs here. And these are the nice metal. These Century ones are, I think, also 4 megabyte SIMs. Wow, so this has got 32 megabytes, which I think might be the maximum for this particular computer. And somewhere in this other stuff that I got with this computer, there was a couple other packets of these that I think were 1 megabyte SIMs. So I have RAM coming out of my ear for this thing. These do use unusual SIMs because they have a weird access mode that I will talk about later at the point when I actually get this working, assuming I get it working. Just kind of looking around to see if I see anything else strange in here. And this is a network card, and there is no video card in this at all. Okay, so that I have video cards, but I don't have any working NuBus Max, so I don't have any way to actually test any of those video cards. So this is going to be interesting and fun. All right, let's start by extracting these PRAM batteries. Okay. That's easy enough. I don't know if that was actually visible on the camera. But what you want to do on these is there's little slots on either side, and you stick a very small flat blade screwdriver in there and pry one end up. And then it's a little bit more challenging on this end because it's moved now. And then the other end comes out with a little bit of wiggling. Now, if some people are to be believed, some internet forums are to be believed, this should be sufficient to make it work. Now, when I went to the store, I only bought one of these batteries, so this let's hope that this is all that's required. I am going to go clear out the old power supply and bring it back and give it a try. I might also try to clean off some of these connectors here with just a toothbrush. Do I have one handy? I don't see one sitting around. With just a toothbrush and some isopropyl alcohol. It's my usual technique. I might actually use contact cleaner or some such, but try to clean this off a little bit. And this bit of the board down here. All right, so you can see around a bunch of these little components in here, there's signs of rust on some of these pads, and it's kind of just generally icky. So I'm going to try some power on testing with it, but I'm expecting that this is going to have to come out and get a deeper cleaning than I can do with it in situ. while I was using the air compressor to clear this out, and it looks so much better inside now, I did discover that there are, in fact, 2 reefa caps in here. So this guy right here is a reefa Y, and this one kind of hiding in here is also a reefa. Now these don't look like the traditionally stinky exploding ones that I've seen before, that you can tell by looking at them that the outside plastic looks cracked and broken, and they look in a bad way. I mean, these look like what I would order as modern replacements. So I'm going to take a chance, which I may regret, and I am going to power this on, and we'll see what happens. But first, I want to clean out those connectors. And I guess I don't know exactly how the power supply on this works. I'm assuming that it must provide some kind of standby power. I'm just looking at how icky this connector looks. I'm gonna have to try to figure out a way to clean this up. It's getting ick on my hands. So I may turn this on not connected to the motherboard and measure voltages, because I'm not super familiar with Macs or Apple IIs, as I've been demonstrating. I'm not shy about admitting what I don't know. So I'm assuming that this is going to be similar to ATX, and that one of these pins is some sort of standby power. That's how, when you push the power button on the keyboard, how it's able to tell that you've done that and turn itself on. So I should at least be able to measure, when this is plugged in, is it doing anything, or is it just completely kaput? All right, so I'm gonna swap things around and clean up. Actually, I'll start with cleaning up these connectors, clean up a bunch of this stuff, and then I'll do a little bit of research on these power supply connectors and move on from there. All right, so I'm just going to use a little bit of IPA and a toothbrush and see if I can get any of this muck off here. It's not the most effective way of doing this, but you can already tell it's cleaned up the connector at least a little bit. These pins I might have to go after a little bit more aggressively, possibly use some contact cleaner, deoxit, or what have you. Try to get those a little bit cleaner. I'm also trying to not talk while I'm brushing, because I'm pretty sure that in editing I'm going to have to turn down the volume on the brushing sound, because I'm sure that is going to be very, very annoying to listen to. Actually, I'm not even going to mess around. I'm going to just go after this with some contact cleaner right now. See if that helps. And I may have to it does not look like it's doing a lot. I'm going to have to dig out magic eraser and go after it with that. Let's do something like this. Put a little bit on this part of the surface here, and then go after it. Well, it seems to be helping a little bit, but not a lot. Wow, that's really crusty. Might have to get, I know some other folks who use navel jelly, I want to say it's called. I may have to go after this with some of that, because that does not, no, it's clearing it up a bit. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Okay, now let's do basically the same kind of deal with this connector, because some kind of moisture got in there. Although, ooh, what did that little piece of metal come off of? Oh man, I hate that. Okay, let's see. Now, probably what I will have to do is do that action when I actually connect this back up, and then use the friction of working the pins against the connectors to try to, because this brush really isn't going to get in there. I mean, it's getting some of this off, but it is not doing a lot. So even if the power supply itself works, we've got a couple hypotheses for why this computer would potentially not turn on. Dead PRAM batteries and just corrosion on these connectors as two. So there's a couple reasons of just cleaning and periodic maintenance that may have already fixed this without replacing the power supply or doing anything. So I'm going to go look up in a service manual what this pinout is, check some rudimentary voltages on this, and then potentially if we're able to see any signs of life out of this power supply, then potentially move on to the next step of trying it in the system. All right. After a lot of searching online, way more than it seems like it should have been required. So plugging in a power cable off camera that's not plugged into the wall yet, I was able to determine that these two pins off to the side here are the 12 volt and power on. So these are the ones that we should be able to, if this is working at all, I'm going to plug this in. Hopefully there won't be any explosions. I went and started up my B camera just in case there's any explosions, that it'll be able to get it on something. Wouldn't want to miss that. Gonna plug this into the outlet. Okay. No explosions. Okay. Well, let's see if I can measure any voltage across here. Nothing. Nothing at all. Now it's possible I'm just not getting in there enough. Nothing. Okay, so I'm going to assume that this power supply is, in fact, as advertised, dead, and move on to step number 2, which is, I am gonna go ahead and try it in the computer, see if that does anything. I've looked a little bit more at the computer, and I'm feeling like there's gonna be some more work to be done. This is not going to plan at all. There was that little mystery piece of metal that I found on the desk that looked a lot like this, and I don't know if that's going to be in focus. There's a couple more of them in here. And these are parts from inside this connector that have come out so much and are so corroded that this connector is coming apart. This connector is just coming apart. So yeah, this power supply is a goner. Even if it works, the connector is toast. I'm not even gonna mess with it. And then also upon inspecting the motherboard a little bit more carefully, so this is in the neighborhood of the PRAM battery, you can see there's goop on the board here around this capacitor. This capacitor has surely leaked, and I've looked around a few other of these surface mount caps, and I'm feeling like they're all or most of them are in a bad way. So I think this is going to require a recap before it's actually going to work. I'm gonna have to order these. I'm gonna have to order these capacitors. I have some surface mount caps in stock. But I don't know if I have all the ones that are required. I have found a list of everything that is necessary for this computer. And it's not a lot. There's maybe, just looking at it, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, looks like 12. So it's not that bad. This may be a follow-up video. Yay, Macintosh. So I'm going to go ahead. I am going to just for giggles, I am going to try to do this with the other power supply and see if there are any signs of life out of it at all. See if I can get a chime. I just want a chime. But this is definitely going to need recapping because there are some, especially back here where I was, there are some corroded areas. This seems to be the worst neighborhood. I mean, there are other caps around, but I don't see horrifying signs of corrosion around them. But they all need to go and be replaced. Yeah, that was not how I was hoping against hope that this would turn out, but you know, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So I'm gonna go grab the new power supply and hook it up in here, and we'll give that a go and just see if anything happens, so that there's some sort of an actual ending to this video. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in. No explosions. Let's try the power button on the back. Nothing. And nothing from the power on the keyboard. I think that may have been to be expected. I suspect it's the issue with the PRAM batteries. So that may be a thing. I'm going to have to. I bought one of these locally and it was really expensive. I am not going to go buy a second one at that price. So I guess I'm going to order another PRAM battery. I'm actually going to order a bunch because I have a number of Mac 2s of this vintage that use this same kind of battery. Couple Mac 2 CXs and I don't remember. I have a stack of these things. So I'll order a bunch. In the meantime, I'm also going to check my stock of these capacitors, see if I've got all the caps that I need. I'll order caps. And hopefully next week there will be a deeper cleaning of this and a recapping and see what can be seen. See if I can get this beast working. If you are interested in seeing that follow-up video and or continued failures to get this computer working, click the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video or want to comfort me in my time of sorrow, click the like button. And until next time, try to remember the good stuff.